Hey everybody, you join me on the Triumph Tiger 1200 again. I have this on loan from Destination Triumph to do a review, make a few videos. Today I need to go and pick up some tyres, which means I need to do a few motorway miles, and I'm going to do some country roads on the way back because, you know, it's a bit more fun. Now this bike has got a massive luggage rack on it, so with a single piece of rope I think I'll be able to secure the tyres onto the back of it no problem, which is very handy. So this is a good little test, you know, it helps me out, go and pick the tyres up, and I get to test the bike out. I'm not going to film all the motorway stuff because, as you can tell, it's pretty windy. I will do some experiments with the screen and stuff, but I found that with this screen up I was getting the wind deflected into my visor and it was buffeting my head around. At the lower setting, at least I'm getting a cleaner stream of air in the face, so it's less buffety. Mind the plants. I might even have a play with the cruise control because I don't myself really like cruise control. It freaks me out a little bit. The more I use it though, the more I'm getting used to it, so maybe I'll try it again. If it's a nice, calm, open road, you know, you can sit there at 70, no problem, in the left-hand lane. I get that. But the odds of being able to do that on today's roads... Okay, so this is with the screen down. Let's try putting it up. This is motorised. Okay, actually, that is quieter to my ear, but I can feel it a bit in my visor at the top of my helmet. But I'm going to try this out. Oh, yeah, it's pretty buffy. See, look, if I go from... See, look, there. I'm just that bit too tall. So I've got the cruise control set to 70, and in this situation right now, I get it. It's comfortable, it's nice. I only have to touch the brake, or possibly even the clutch. I think that does work. I'm not going to do it because I'm comfy here and in a good spot. But it's easy to switch it off, so it's not a safety concern. It's just something that I get a bit freaked about, but the more I use it, as I say, the more I'm getting used to it. I'm just sat here with my finger on the speed adjust switch, just clicking up and down a few miles an hour to make sure I maintain my distance, and that's practically it. There is another advantage to a cruise control system, I think, other than just being able to sit relaxed, you know, and let the bike do its thing. Is that if you're trying to get somewhere and traffic's getting frustrating, if you're riding the bike, I find that you end up maybe taking a few more smaller gaps, maybe going a little bit faster in places. If this is the game, to try and just sit here, it entertains you. You don't get as bored, you know, like just sat in traffic holding the throttle open. And obviously if you're trying to avoid speeding tickets, it could really help you. I don't think motorway miles are the most interesting thing in the world, so I'm going to switch the cameras off and I'll restart the video once I pick these tyres up. And I'll give you some more of my impressions of how I found this bike. Well, we are here at Haslemere Motorcycles. I'm just picking up my tyres. Pirelli, thankfully, gave me a bit of a discount on these, but I had to have them delivered to an actual place, so I just had them delivered here. Hey everyone, sorry about the slight change in scenery here. The camera died on the way home because the charger cable had a break in it, which meant that I didn't get the rest of the video that I wanted to talk about, the main part of the video to talk about tyres and a mistake I made in the past. But I did get to try the Tiger 1200 out on the motorway, and as you can imagine, it did absolutely fantastically, and I'll talk more about that in the review. And I also got to pick up my tyres thanks to Pirelli for giving me a little bit of discount on them, and I've got those home. So mission accomplished, and we can accomplish the mission in the video if we film the rest of it now. So I'm going to do that. So where should we start? Let's start with my history of tyres on the DRZ 400 SN. It's my second bike. I have been doing a rebuild series on it just recently, did a massive rebuild to it. If you haven't seen it, please check out the playlist Restoration Z and you can see all the work done. Anyway, to the beginning. When I bought the bike second hand, it had Supercoursers on it. Now Supercoursers are nice soft tyres, great tyres in fact. However, they don't last that long because of their softness. You know, that's kind of the thing you give up. If you want soft tyres, they don't last long, and if you want long-lasting tyres, they're never that soft. Softness equals grip, and you know, they warm up quicker and stuff like that, generally. Anyway, as I say, it came with Supercoursers, it's what the previous owner had on it, and I liked them, but I wanted something that would last a bit longer, so I went for Michelin Road 2s after that. And I found those to be okay tyres. No real complaints about them, they lasted a good amount of time. Had plenty of grip as far as I was concerned. Then I got some Metzeler Rotec 01s for my XJ6, and I was quite surprised by how fast those tyres seemed to warm up compared to the DRZ's Road 2s. But the XJ6 is a lot heavier than the DRZ, so maybe that has something to do with it. To my understanding, the one set of tyres might be great on one bike and not on another because the bike isn't heavy enough to get that compound of rubber warmed up properly or in a reasonable amount of time through normal riding. People, I'm sure, can add more to that. However, I do know where I went completely wrong. The DRZ 400 SM by stock comes with a 140 wide tyre. Now, I was told you could go one size larger than that, so I did. Unfortunately, I didn't know it was a 140. I thought it was a 150, so I went, instead of a 140 to 150, I went to a 160. Now, the 160 Road 2 on the DRZ does fit, and some people choose to use that tyre or 160 tyres on the DRZ because, you know, they want to for looks or for whatever reason. However, the issue is that the DRZ's rear rim is 4.5 inches wide, and to my understanding, the widest tyre you can put on a 4.5 inch rim and maintain the proper profile of the tyre, that being the rounded shape to it, is 150, not 160. So what this ended up meaning was that, yeah, sure, the tyre fitted and grip seemed fine, but I could never get to the edge of it on the rear tyre. You know, I could be so close to scraping the pegs and I still wasn't on the edge of the tyre, and it didn't make any sense to me because you kind of look at it and go, look, it sweeps away so much that you'd actually literally have to have the bike on the ground to get to the edge of the tyre, and people are like, you've got chicken strips and all this. Yeah, well, it's because of the profile of that tyre, you cannot get it to the edge. But, well, I noticed that in riding because I noticed that if you went really tight into a corner, the first thing you kind of noticed going, if you were really trusting on the grip, was the front, not the rear. You could feel it sort of wanting to slip out on you, and I think that's because the bike was just leaning over too far. So I have corrected my previous mistake, and I've gone for a 150 Pirelli Rosso 2 on the back and the standard 120 on the front. So it'll be interesting to see how those tyres are, both in how they warm up and also what it's like to have a tyre which is the right profile for the rim. Because I really did balls that one up. For years, I kept replacing them, and it wasn't until a recent discussion with Jake that I was like, the stocks are 150. He's like, no, the stocks are 140, and I'm like, is it? And then you know the rest from there. I will add that no one who ever fitted the tyres on that bike for me, even if it was just a loose wheel, mentioned that, you know, that's a 4.5 inch rim and a 160 tyre. You know, that doesn't work right. I guess they don't care, they're getting paid to put the tyre on, like, make your own stupid decision, at least it's not a car tyre. As I say, riding wise it was absolutely fine, and I wouldn't say you don't do it, but it's not the best idea. It's just, you know, in the years that I did it I never had a problem because of it, but there's no real need for it. It doesn't need the 160 on there, and you're not going to get actual 160 out of it because it pinches it, kind of. Ooh. It's quite pokey. I've got the tyres now. I'm going to be taking the wheels off and getting them changed loose, which means I'll have to... Is that broken glass? Looks like it. Which means I'll have to do that in the next week or so. I'll do it as soon as I can, but I've got to get Reno's bike down to get the MOT done. I've also got to take this bike back, and I've got another bike coming in between. I'm going to have to try and fit it all in as well as editing these videos. Not complaining, I absolutely love what I do. This is amazing. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what it's like with the Rosso 2s on. I spoke to a few people, and some people were like, yeah, I think the Rosso 2 would probably be a good one to try out, because I didn't want the stickiest tyres in the world, because the DRZ will eat the rear tyre if you're not careful. But equally, I didn't mind if it didn't last quite so long, because I don't use the bike so much. So I was in two minds. I was like, shall I get something that's just super sticky but probably won't last more than 2,000 miles? And I was like, no, that's just going to be a bit of a pricey thing to keep up. Let's try something somewhere in the middle. Let's try the Rosso 2. As I say, I do believe that tyres work differently on different bikes, so I'll only really know how it's going to do by sticking them on it and trying it. But having the profile right as well might be interesting, because that should, in theory, that should change the turn-in, I would have thought. Would that change the turn-in? I'm trying to think of the geometry of it. I think it probably would. Oh. Or big bike slow control. I have this bike for 2 or 3 more days at this point, so I'm going to keep using it. Tomorrow's absolutely tipping it down, which is a bit of a pain. As I've mentioned, the weather turned a little bit. We're switching between this, which is glorious, and horrible, really heavy showers, which I think most of us are getting around the country at the moment. So I'm doing what I can in between, but I definitely have time in there to get the review done during some nice weather, hopefully. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Apologies for the weird kind of two halves of this video, because it was just the way that it happened. But if you did still enjoy it, remember to hit that like button. I really would appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and thanks to my Patreon supporters who help support the channel. If you'd be interested in doing that, check out the links in the description. Catch you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to see future videos. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please consider joining my Patreon to get early access to videos, questions answered in the monthly Q&A, your name on screen, and some exclusive content, all for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the links in the description to my merch and other ways to directly support the channel. Thanks for watching.